And then he reached down and put out a gun. I said, man, what are you doing with that gun? He started shooting, then he shot her. And then he put the gun to his head. And that's what it was. Then I had to bury my best friend.
An absolute angel. She really was. Everybody she's ever met. She's brought so many of these people into my life. She's connected so many people together. And she's just loved. She will never, ever, ever, ever be forgotten. She is so loved.
That right there is Floyd Mayweather, describing the phone call where he listened to his best friend murder his wife and then take his own life. Now, flash forward 8 years. Another rapper shot his girlfriend dead in another Los Angeles apartment, and we are back to the same ending all over again. Let's explore this pattern that hip-hop keeps circling back to. Justin Alexander Joseph went by the name J Slush, and by the time 2022 came around, he had already built a real name for himself in rap. He came up out of South Florida with a hustler's mentality that never really left him, even once the music started paying his bills. He was born on September 23, 1993, and grew up mostly around Miami and South Beach, dropping out of school at 16 to chase music. Before we get into any of that, though, there is one piece of his past that matters a lot more once you understand how this whole story ends. By his own account, he called himself a hustler from a young age, selling drugs and getting by in the streets before music ever paid him $1. And he'd later say that lifestyle taught him how to earn a living long before any record deal came along.
What kind of crowd you rolling with?
Was that fun?
That doesn't sound sketchy or anything.
It's crazy. I was hanging out with rappers back then before I was rapping. So
oh, okay.
Going to the club every night, popping bottles. 16.
What kind of rappers are we talking here?
Shit, I was hanging around like Lil Wayne, Young Money.
How do you know these motherfuckers?
My big homie, he was like his assistant.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So you were just sort of always on the scene, and like, what were you trying to rap at the time, or were you doing something else?
Nah, I was even trying to rap. I was honestly trying to start a clothing line.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So you always been into rap and clothing?
Yeah.
Okay, but the clothing dream existed before the rap dream?
The clothing was just like a legal hustle, you know?
Okay.
Taking the money from the other shit, making legal money.
Right.
Laundering.
Yeah.
Laundering.
Music came later, almost by accident, once people around him started noticing he had something to say.
When did you start to take the whole rapping thing seriously, though?
When I was like 18.
Okay. And so what was that fucking process like for you at that time?
I mean, I started seeing people I knew just started rapping. I was like, yeah, I always liked music, so I just started. Just got it off like that.
When did you start to feel like you were having like some degree of success with it?
Maybe like 19, 20.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what was the original material that popped off for you?
It was just like my original shit. Relax to Get Murked. That's like some very rare shit I did back in the day when I first started rapping. I did that. And then I started my own record label called the Relax Records.
Yeah.
Got some artists on there, like my friends I grew up with, like Kenny Turn Up right here.
Okay.
And then we just started doing shit like that.
Right.
Back in September of 2014, his girlfriend at the time, a model and blogger named Danielle Phaeton, came out publicly and said he beat her unconscious inside his Brooklyn apartment. In her own words, she said she was dating someone that abused me verbally, emotionally, and physically throughout the end duration of our relationship. He turned himself in to Brooklyn police that October, facing charges for assault and criminal obstruction of breathing. He always told a different version, though, and actually laid it out himself on camera years later.
Hey, can we talk about this crazy-ass situation you had? Because there's a lot of accusations about you being a woman beater out there. This was the whole thing. It was in fucking the New Yorker.
The New York Times.
And I know that you want to clear it up because you posted about it on Instagram the other day. You said, I might do an interview one day.
Yeah, 3 days ago, you said, I might do a long interview about clearing this up.
Yeah, so now we
got an hour right now.
Because we could just say first, it sucks because it's like when you hear about a domestic abuse case or whatever, it's like you want to give the woman the benefit of the doubt, but also as soon as they say that, the guy is just dragged through the dirt. And we're going to get to hear Stash's side of it right now, I guess.
All right, so I got into this little altercation with my ex-girlfriend, pretty much. I broke up with her. She couldn't accept it. I let her come to my house one night when I was going, like, the same night I was going to Japan, because, like, she was pretty much homeless, you know. I just moved to this new apartment building in Brooklyn. Had her come through. I was sleeping. She went through my phone. I guess she seen some shit she didn't want to see. Pretty much got on the phone, started, like, crying, telling whoever she was on the phone with that, oh, she's going to, like, beat me up or some shit. So pretty much I wake up to her on top of me, literally just, like, punching me in my face. You feel me? Like, the room's mad dark. Like, she's just on top of me, punching me, like, attacking me. So throughout that incident, like, I did hit her through, like, self-defense, you know, like, 2 times, literally, in 2 seconds. And I just started restraining her, you know?
Right.
And right after that, like, I got on the phone with my mom. I told her, like, yo, this girl just pretty much beat me up, and now she has a black eye. I'm about to go to Japan. Like, what do I do? Blah, blah, blah. My mom calmed her down, you know.
So your mom was talking to her?
Yeah.
Okay.
So shit was cool. You know, we made up, had sex, whatever, fucking same night.
And then you went to Japan, though?
Yeah, went to Japan. She was in my crib just, like, crying, whatever. I had, like, my assistant at the time, because he was staying at my crib, just, like, pretty much remove her, because, like, my building was, like, a brand new, luxurious building. Like, she was just causing, like, problems or whatever. So I kicked her out. I had her sister come pick her up, and then, like, she was just, like, texting me, like, yo, I'm about to just, like, post these pictures up and just, like, ruin your career pretty much. Because at the time, I had, like, a sponsorship with, like, Alexander Wang. I was doing, like, big shit. I was about to get signed, you know.
Right.
So pretty much, I ended up blocking her because I was in Japan working, you know, like, the time difference, like, so I was just really...
And what was she so mad at you about? Was just the fact that you were fucking other girls or whatever she's seen in your phone? She was just mad at you in general, so she's like, I'm gonna air you out.
Yeah, pretty much. She felt like I cheated on her, but in reality, I wasn't even going out with her.
Yeah.
So the day I got back to New York to my apartment, she posted a false statement on Tumblr.
Right.
Making it seem like I've been abusing her throughout our whole relationship, like I'm a woman beater. Like, it was literally crazy. Like, this nigga right here, Kenny, was, like, the first person to even show me that shit. And then, like, my phone started blowing up. Shit was crazy. I was just like, what the fuck, you know?
Right.
But me being me, what I did, I was like, yo, I gotta fucking get out of here now, because, like, this shit just, you know, like, the police are gonna come to my door, you know? I got fucking drugs in my house, all this shit. I had to clean up all that shit.
Right.
Go to fucking Florida. Had to hire the best attorney in New York, you know. Shout out to Alex Spiro, Ben Braffman.
Right.
Took me like 8 months to clear that shit up, you know, but I was proven not guilty.
That's his side of it, self-defense after she came at him first, according to him. She told it differently in her own post, saying he punched her repeatedly with his fists while she slowly blocked out, covered in blood, and that afterward he told her not to tell anyone and started preparing legal action in case she pressed charges. Either way, the courts ended up dropping every single charge against him in June of 2015, and his lawyer, Alex Spiro, said outside the courthouse that they were both pleased the case had been dismissed. Justin moved on with his life after that like the whole thing never happened. For years, it really did look like it was behind him for good, just an old headline buried under new music in a growing fan base. Then he met Jeanette Gallegos. Jeanette wasn't in the industry and wasn't chasing any cameras. She was just a mother trying to hold things down for her family, a college graduate who spent her days raising 3 young sons long before Justin ever came into the picture. Her sister, Erica Chavez, later described her as full of life, the sweetest, most caring person, always there for everyone who needed her. Her favorite saying, according to her family, was that you should live today because tomorrow is not promised, and nobody around her could have known just how true that was going to turn out to be. Most of what we know about Jeanette comes from what her family shared after she was already gone, and that's usually how it goes with cases like this. The men involved get written about because of their careers, and the women get remembered almost entirely through grief, through what other people say once they can't speak for themselves anymore. The two of them had been dating for about a year, and they had been living together for a few months in a home on Petland Street in Temple City, California, just outside Los Angeles. Her 3 boys weren't his kids by blood, but they were all under one roof, sharing whatever tension built up between the 2 adults raising them day to day. From the outside, though, nobody around them had a reason to think something was building up. There's no story here about neighbors calling police every other week or friends begging Jeanette to leave, and that's part of what makes this so hard for people to sit with. Whatever was happening between them stayed behind closed doors right up until the door came off the hinges. There's no record anywhere of police getting called to that address before, and nobody has come forward with a documented history of violence in this specific relationship. But somewhere between New Year's Eve and New Year's Day of 2022, something in that house went seriously wrong. In the early morning hours of January 1st, an argument broke out between Jeanette and Justin about their relationship. And this wasn't the kind of disagreement you forget about by the time breakfast rolls around. It was still New Year's morning, and this house was about to become a crime scene. In the middle of the argument, Justin took Jeanette into the master bedroom and locked the door behind them, shutting the two of them inside while her 3 boys were left standing right outside. Those boys, 7, 9, and 11 years old, according to investigators, kept knocking on that bedroom door over and over, trying to make sure their mother was okay. Whatever happened behind that locked door in the next few minutes would end 2 lives, leave 3 little boys with a memory no child should ever have to carry, and bring up hard questions about whether Justin's past should have been a much louder warning sign. Deputies with the Los Angeles Sheriff's Department got the call around 7:14 that morning, a possible domestic violence situation at that home on Petland Street. Whoever answered that call had no idea what they were about to walk into. When deputies pulled up, 3 young boys came running out of the house toward them. They were not physically hurt, but they had just heard everything from the other side of that locked door. Deputies got them to safety right away and then moved in toward the house. Inside, the master bedroom door was still locked from earlier. Deputies forced their way in and found both Jeanette and Justin dead inside. Jeanette had been shot multiple times, and Justin died from what looked like a self-inflicted gunshot wound. A handgun was recovered at the scene.
Detectives investigating a shooting out in Temple City that left a man and a woman dead. Now, this happened just after 7 this morning out along Pentland Street. When deputies got there, they found the woman shot multiple times and a man who had been shot in the head. Detectives are thinking that this may be a murder-suicide. 3 young kids, though, were found in the home, ranging in age from 5 to 11. They are believed to be the children of the woman who was shot.
Right now, the evidence and the scene and the information that preliminary information we have from the 2 children in the home is a murder-suicide.
It's a very nice neighborhood. We don't even see this. I've been around here for 20-some years already, and we don't even get this stuff, So it's kind of wild.
Well, thank goodness the children were unharmed. They've been taken now into protective custody.
Homicide Bureau Lieutenant Derek Alfred became the face of this case in the days after, and he laid out exactly what detectives believed had happened. That information from the children turned out to matter more than almost anything else in this case. The boys told investigators about the argument, about their mother being led into the bedroom, about knocking on the door and getting no answer, and then hearing the gunshots. One of the kids called their grandmother, who told them to call 911. Lieutenant Alfred said it wasn't clear if that call came in before or after Jeanette had already been shot. Now, a lot of headlines at the time got a key part of this wrong. Some outlets ran with language suggesting the shooting happened right in front of the kids, in the room with them. Alfred cleared that up directly, saying the boys were in the home and heard the gunshots, but it did not appear to happen right in front of them, since they were locked outside that bedroom the whole time. They ran to the deputies and were, in his words, whisked to safety, not injured physically at least. That last part says a lot without saying much. Physically fine. Everything else, nobody's really talking about publicly, and honestly, that's probably for the best when it comes to 3 young boys who lost their mother on the first day of a brand new year. Now, because both Justin and Jeanette were gone, there was never going to be a trial here. No courtroom, jury, or anyone standing up to answer for it. The whole case closed based on the physical evidence and what those boys were able to tell investigators. The full weight of what happened behind that door lives mostly in the memories of 3 young boys now, not in any file the public will ever get to read. Now, let's back up for a second and get into who Justin actually was, because there was a whole other side to him outside of that one bedroom in Temple City. around 16 while still in South Beach, he found his way into the Young Money circle, mentored by Troy Bless, who worked as Lil Wayne's assistant, which put him around a level of the industry most kids from his neighborhood never got close to. His career actually started taking off around 2016 when he signed with Rich the Kid's label, Rich Forever Music, dropping his debut mixtape, Hood Rich, that same year, followed by No More Distractions in late 2016 and Relax With Me under his own label, Relax Entertainment, the year after. That followed his death almost always brought up that 2014 allegation from Danielle as well. Multiple outlets pointed out this wasn't the first time he'd been accused of harming a partner, even though those charges had been dismissed years before. What we're left with instead of a trial is a family trying to piece their lives back together. Jeanette's 3 boys were placed with relatives after being taken out of that home. Her sister Erica set up a GoFundMe to help cover funeral costs, and in it she wrote something that has stuck with a lot of people who read it since. She called it a tragic and unexpected loss for her family and her nephews, saying Jeanette leaves behind 3 beautiful boys who will have to keep living life with what's left, the memories created with their mommy. She closed it out asking people to rest in paradise and to fly high, my beautiful angel. Jeanette was laid to rest at Rose Hills Memorial Park in Whittier, California on January 22, 2022. And hundreds of people ended up donating to that page, strangers as much as friends, all moved by a story that had nothing to do with fame and everything to do with 3 kids who lost their mother on the first day of a brand new year.
Now, here's where things get eerie, because this isn't the first time a story like this has played out in hip-hop. Almost exactly 8 years earlier, almost to the week, a different rapper sat in a different Los Angeles apartment and made the same choice Justin Joseph made. Same city and ending, different woman and relationship, but a pattern that should make anybody paying attention stop and ask what's really going on here. 2 grown men, both with careers, both with people who loved them, both ending things the exact same way. That's not a coincidence you can just scroll past. His name was Earl Hayes. Earl Warren Hayes had a connection that put him right in the middle of celebrity life, and that connection matters a lot to how this story unfolds. Born in Detroit on May 28, 1980, he grew up in a city known for producing gritty, honest voices in hip-hop, and that background shaped the way he rapped for the rest of his career. He eventually made his way to Los Angeles, chasing a career in rap and acting, even landing a small role in the 2005 film Rock the Paint before music became his main focus. His biggest break came through boxer Floyd Mayweather Jr., who signed him to his label Filthy Rich Records and brought him into his inner circle known as the Money Team. That friendship with Mayweather is going to become the most important part of this whole story, so keep that in mind. The Money Team wasn't just a nickname either. It was a real crew of friends and business partners who traveled with Mayweather everywhere, showed up in his videos, and got a piece of the spotlight that came with being close to one of the biggest names in boxing. Earl being part of that circle meant cameras were often around him too, which is exactly how the public ended up seeing him and Stephanie together as a couple in the first place. The woman he married was Stephanie Elise Mosley, born on February 14, 1984 in Vancouver, British Columbia, raised by a single mother who supported her love of dance from the very start. She started ballet classes at age 2 and trained through her teens, winning awards across Vancouver's dance scene before she ever set foot in Los Angeles. Her instructor at the time, Rachel Poirier, remembered her as humble even back then, recalling how the young dancer once asked her not to judge her decision to chase commercial dance instead of staying in classical ballet, a decision that ended up paying off in a big way. Stephanie moved out west at 18 chasing a career in dance, and it paid off. She became one of the most in-demand backup dancers in the business, performing behind Beyoncé, Janet Jackson, Usher, Mariah Carey, Chris Brown, and Rihanna. And by 2013, she had a recurring role on VH1's dance drama Hit the Floor. People who knew her described her the same way, over and over.
I met Stephanie Mosley in 2002. She had just moved to LA. She was a part of a dance group called Best Kept Secret, and my cousin was doing her makeup, and I just thought she was the most gorgeous girl, and she didn't have any friends in LA. And She just had the dancer world. So I decided I'd take her under my wings. And at that time, I was headed to college, and I decided I wanted to be a model. So we made a pact, and we decided that we were going to figure this business out and become stars together. Stephanie was an absolute angel. She really was. Everybody she's ever met. She's brought so many of these people into my life. She's connected so many people together. And she's just loved. She will never, ever, ever, ever be forgotten. She is so loved.
Stephanie and Earl got married in 2008 and moved into a high-end apartment complex called the Palazzo in the Fairfax district of Los Angeles, a neighborhood full of celebrities and industry money. From the outside, they looked like a real power couple, a dancer and a rapper both climbing in their own lanes, showing up at premieres and fight week parties with Mayweather's whole circle around them. But behind closed doors, something was eating away at Earl that nobody outside the marriage really understood. Around 2012, Earl started accusing Stephanie of cheating on him with multiple entertainers, most notably R&B singer Trey Songz. Nothing was ever confirmed, not by Stephanie, not by Trey Songz, not by anybody, but those suspicions reportedly crushed Earl, and the two of them separated for about a year. Friends close to the couple never picked up on how deep it ran. Model and actress Ava Marcille, Pigford, who had known Stephanie since they were teenagers, said there were no visible signs of violence, just the normal ups and downs any marriage goes through.
Everyone has their problems, but if you're asking if anyone knew that, something would come to this, hell no. It was the last of what anybody would have thought. I thought it was a lie when I got the phone call.
Burl Wilkes, who called himself Earl's best friend, described him as a very caring and sharing gentleman who never showed a single violent bone in his body.
No one's seen this coming, because again, Hayes is not a violent guy. It's not the way to exit, and just stand strong for their families.
By 2014, Earl and Stephanie had found their way back together. The two of them reconciled and were actively trying to rebuild their marriage. And just days before everything fell apart, Stephanie told family back in Canada that things were going well, that she felt upbeat and hopeful about where things were headed. Nothing about that suggested what was about to happen. Earl was even keeping himself busy professionally around that same period, having released a daily verse series called 31 Days in May throughout May of 2013, timed to line up with Mayweather's own promotional calendar. On the morning of December 8, 2014, inside their apartment at the Palazzo complex in the Fairfax district of Los Angeles, a neighborhood full of celebrities and industry money, that unresolved jealousy finally reached its breaking point. It was still early, the kind of hour most of the building was still asleep, when Earl started a FaceTime call with Floyd Mayweather around 7 that morning, ranting about Stephanie's alleged infidelity and working himself into a rage his closest friend had never seen him from before. Mayweather tried to talk him down, telling him to leave the relationship and get a divorce instead of doing anything drastic. It did not work. Mayweather stepped away from the call for a moment and heard the arguing turn into screaming, and around 7:30, neighbors in the building also heard a woman screaming, followed by as many as 10 gunshots, and immediately called for help. Whatever Earl said to Stephanie in those final minutes, whatever pushed things past the point of no return, none of it was ever fully explained to the public. All anyone outside that apartment really has is the sound of what happened next. By the time police got there, they could still hear gunfire coming from inside, which pushed them to call in LAPD's SWAT team instead of forcing entry on their own. Reporters on the scene that morning were already connecting the shooting to the same rumors that had followed the couple for years. When officers finally made entry, they found both bodies in the bathroom. Stephanie had been shot multiple times, with wounds to her head, torso, and legs. Earl died from a single self-inflicted gunshot wound to the head. Both were pronounced dead at the scene.
A well-known dancer who was also the star of a show on VH1 was found dead this morning alongside her rapper husband. LAPD is investigating this as an apparent murder-suicide.
Up to 10 shots were fired here at this luxury apartment complex in the Mid-Wilshire area, according to witnesses. And inside one unit, the bodies of two aspiring Hollywood talents were found, a husband and wife, in an apparent murder-suicide.
We received a radio call of several shots being fired inside the location with a woman screaming. So the officers responded immediately. We were able to contact the person who made that phone call, get some additional information, and they made a decision at that point to make entry into the location.
did actually hear the commotion going on this morning, and shots were fired.
He was a rapper once signed by boxer Floyd "Money" Mayweather, known for songs like On the Block and featured on 50 Cent's album, who rapped about money, street life, fortune, and fame. She was a beautiful, aspiring model and backup dancer for Britney Spears, Usher, and Chris Brown, and was a star of VH1's Hit the Floor.
She was an amazing girl. She's from Vancouver. She was a prima ballerina.
Family friends say 31-year-old rapper Earl Hayes shot and killed his 30-year-old wife, Stephanie Mosley, then turned the gun on himself. Around 7 o'clock Monday morning, police were called to the upscale Palazzo East apartments near the Grove after a neighbor reported hearing a woman scream and shots fired.
He said that he heard several shots being fired and a woman screaming.
Sky 5 was overhead as an LAPD SWAT team raced to the scene and knocked down the door of the apartment as neighbors were evacuated. Officers found both bodies inside.
A police detective says the two were trying to reconcile, and Mosley was optimistic about their chances only days before Hayes killed her and committed suicide. Hayes and Mosley were found Monday after neighbors reported hearing gunshots and a woman screaming. According to the Associated Press, Hayes was an acquaintance of Floyd Mayweather, and police have asked to interview the boxer following media reports he may have spoken to Hayes before the incident. Two attorneys for Mayweather told the AP they had not heard from the boxer.
What makes this case different from most is that Mayweather wasn't just a friend who found out after the fact. He was on the phone the entire time it happened, listening to his best friend become a murderer in real time. What he heard on that call would end up becoming one of the most important pieces of evidence in the whole investigation. Mayweather later gave his own account of those final minutes, and hearing it straight from him is chilling. A man listened to his best friend spiral into a murder unaliving over a phone call and could do nothing but hear it happen. That's the kind of thing that stays with a person for the rest of their life. Once police confirmed what had gone down, they moved fast to bring Mayweather in for questioning, since he was the only person who had heard it unfold in real time. LAPD Detective Scott Masterson confirmed detectives wanted to understand the motive based on what Mayweather heard during that call. His lawyer set up an interview, and within a few days, Mayweather sat down with detectives and gave his account. No charges ever came his way. He was just a witness, a man who happened to be on the other end of a call that turned into the worst thing he would ever hear in his life.
I was sitting with Melissa Brim. My best friend called me on FaceTime. We was talking a little bit. He put Stephanie on the phone. I talked to her, and I could tell that they looked like they both were doing drugs and drinking real heavy. I could tell they'd been up all night. They was talking. I hear the bath water running. He put it on FaceTime. He got back on the phone. I'm kind of getting choked up from this. So then I said, "Why you calling me so early in the morning? How you know I'm up?" He said, "Because I love you." And he said, "There's something else you don't know." And then I was like, "Huh?" And then he reached down and put out a gun. I said, "Man, what are you doing with that gun?" He started shooting. Then he shot her. And then he put the gun to his head. And that's what it was. Then I had to bury my best friend.
Homicide detective Scott Masterson stated plainly that Hayes killed his wife and then took his own life. Autopsies confirmed the causes of death that following week, with the coroner's assistant chief overseeing the process, though no toxicology results were ever made public. Toxicology screenings were expected to take somewhere around 4 to 6 weeks, but that window came and went with nothing released to the public, which is normal for a closed case that never gets anywhere near a courtroom. Now, back up and talk about who Earl really was outside of that one apartment, because there's more to his story than just how it ended. He worked with major names in the industry, including 50 Cent, Timbaland, and Dr. Dre, plus features and collaborations with Too Short and the Pussycat Dolls that helped build his reputation as a working artist without a breakout solo hit of his own, landing a feature on 50 Cent's track Double Up in 2012. He appeared alongside Mayweather and Stephanie in the 2013 Showtime documentary 30 Days in May, which gave the public a real glimpse into what looked like a glamorous Hollywood marriage. Stephanie's own career kept building too, with film roles in Catwoman, Idlewild, Sparkle, and Mirror Mirror, plus choreography work on the Twilight Saga. People who knew her described her the same way, over and over.
The entertainment world reacted fast once the news broke. Trey Songz posted a tribute calling her baby girl, saying she had once been an angel on earth and would never be forgotten, never once addressing the rumors that had haunted her marriage. Rihanna posted a photo of Stephanie on Instagram with a simple caption paying her respects, and Chris Brown remembered her as always the coolest person on tour with him. Not everyone kept it soft, though. Taylor Page, a Hit the Floor co-star, posted raw grief on Instagram and did not hold back on Earl, writing simply, "Fuck your RIP." VH1 released a statement saying they were deeply saddened by her passing and asked for privacy for her family, and a memorial fund started by her Hit the Floor colleagues raised over $8,700 to support her family. Swizz Beatz, Alicia Keys' husband, called Earl one of his best friends in the world and said he was sick and hurt over the news, a reminder that even the people mourning had to hold grief for both sides of this tragedy at once. This story didn't stay in 2014. In 2018, rapper 50 Cent accused Floyd Mayweather of contributing to the tragedy during an unrelated public feud between the two of them, a claim that was never backed up by anything that had nothing to do with the actual police investigation. Now put these two stories side by side because the similarities are hard to ignore. Two black rappers, two women who trusted them completely, two Los Angeles apartments 8 years apart almost to the week, and in both cases the people closest to these men swore up and down they never saw it coming. Earl Hayes had no documented history of violence before that morning. Justin Joseph did, an allegation from years earlier that ended in dismissed charges instead of a conviction. Whether jealousy and suspicion on their own don't have to end in violence. Plenty of relationships go through infidelity accusations, breakups, even domestic violence allegations, and the people involved get through it without anybody dying. What separates these two cases isn't the presence of conflict, since conflict happens in almost every relationship at some point. It's what these two men chose to do when that conflict hit its peak, and neither one of them chose to just walk away. If this story moved you, drop a comment letting us know what you think should change, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more stories like this one every week.